shirts just like
We're
mine.
matching. We were really
We're on top
thoughtful tonight. We are doing good from Canada. Hello, Niagara Falls. It's been a little while. I think we've been pretty consistent doing these kind of weekly. That's what I feel like. Arizona, Seattle. Oh, anybody here from Texas right now?
One of my friends he's got internet. They've got power,
Marshall.
but everything's underwater.
Hello from Texas. Oh.
We're really thinking about you guys a lot right now.
Yeah, I've been thinking about all day and looking at pictures and stuff, and man. Oh, you're stranded, but you're okay. Well, you have a great attitude. I wish it's hard to be. I mean, I know that there's a lot of ways that everybody can help from a distance, but it's like you don't feel like that's enough even. Oh, your sister and her husband are stuck in Houston. I remember thinking about them. It's really shocking. Like, we got online and I was looking at photos and stuff, and I couldn't believe it was way worse than I had expected it to be.
I know to some degree, like, the news companies and stuff show the worst of the worst to shock you, but at the same time, I've seen lots of
bad.
people's cell phone photos that are pretty bad.
Yeah, even hearing from people that are, people that are down there. Good, I'm glad to hear. I love that you guys are coming in. So, Laguna Beach, I love it there. I've been there a couple times now. We also have one more person here with us tonight. So we had a big productive day today, and Sophie was a really good girl, huh, Soph? Mm-hmm. So Sophie got to stay up with us a little bit later. I promised her some hot chocolate, and so are you done with it already, Soph?
Yeah.
Somebody said about where we live, though, if we didn't live here. And that's really hard because we would love to be so many places. I would love to be somewhere. Well, I don't know. I don't know if I would ever really move permanently out of the States. Like, I think I'd always have a home base here because that's where all of our family is. But I think we would love to take off for maybe a year or go different places. We'd love to go a lot of places.
Hawaii.
Thailand is a big goal, too.
The East would be cool.
Maybe Iceland and
I don't know
Scotland and...
Thailand seems more
like a
place
visit?
I was going to say the opposite. I was going to say we could live there for 6 months.
I don't know why. I feel really drawn to Thailand for some reason.
But, Iceland, I would want to visit and I want to see it, and it sounds really cool.
I have some family in Australia, too. I'd love to go to Australia, and some friends I've met through blogging. My mom got to go. It looked really neat. Oh, we visited at the event in Nampa a couple months ago. Oh, neat. I would love to... I'm going to screenshot, because I would love to track you down and stalk you. Okay, that didn't work out so good.
We got lucky there.
Hold on.
Here, I'll get it, babe.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Thank you for letting me know. I love seeing people that I've met in person. That's really neat. I said something about big things coming soon. Does that have to do with your YouTube and blog? Yeah, primarily. That's the gist of it. It's just I kind of felt like everything I've been kind of in first gear. I'm in mode right now. I feel like everything has been
It's been really quiet all summer long.
Yeah, and just kind of trying to do the minimal just to kind of keep our life as organized as possible and keep with the kids as much as we could and try to just soak up every minute of summer together and so now that school's starting, I just feel really excited to just dive in. I feel like I'm in a really good place and like our family's doing really well and I feel like we're kind of at the precipice. I'm using these words, maybe they're not the right words. I feel like we're at the
fancy words.
The summit. I don't know. Yeah, they're fancy words. I feel like I'm right there. And so we've made a lot of big goals and plans for September. But yes, mainly as far as the blog is concerned. Oh, so you saw me on Pinterest. I didn't know it was you until I started watching the videos. So did you follow me before
and then
here and then found Pinterest separately and then realized we were the same person? Is that how you were saying? How did I grow my hair so long? Is mainly I've not really cut it very much. I've mostly just trimmed it.
Is that how that works?
Well, I've not had it short and then worked really hard to get it to grow long. I've let it grow long and I've kept it long and taken care of it so that it stayed long.
People have always asked me that question when I've had my hair long. Be like,
yeah.
How did you get your hair long? I was like, not cut it. The
Sounds like
sarcastic answer.
yeah, it sounds like a bad answer, but that
You-
does help, the fact that it's never been super short.
Yeah.
But it has kind of been my job too for the last few years primarily. So I've put more effort into my hair. I've justified paying for professional hair trims and stuff like that, that normally I wouldn't have, but I do think it makes a difference, and paying for quality products makes a big difference. I used to use some drugstore names that I will not name, but just a couple products that I didn't realize were adding a ton of buildup to my hair and to my scalp and causing a lot of dryness and like excess oil and stuff like that. And so investing in products that my salon hairdresser recommended made a big difference. And I've been taking lots of prenatal vitamins over the years because I've kind of been pregnant a lot, and I believe that vitamins and getting those extra supplements of nutrients help, because I don't really feel like our typical diets give all the things that we can use, and spending a lot of extra effort on drinking more water too makes an immediate difference almost in like the crunchiness of my hair. It's really amazing how that plays out. Oh, I ramble. I'll save this video. The first time I found you, I did your Bohemian side braid on my little sister. Oh, that's awesome.
I like that one.
That one was fun, yeah. Check out Alaska. Oh, we actually thought about an Alaskan cruise, because I have some friends who've done that. It just looked like so much fun to be able to see the different areas. And
Aaron's in Anchorage, so
yeah, that's true.
we'd have a good visit.
We went to Thailand this summer for a month with our kids. It really is magic. A month sounds like an awesome amount of time, because you could really see a lot and do a lot, and really I feel like sometimes if you go for a week or 10 days or even a couple of weeks, like you just kind of barely start getting into the culture, and then it's time to go home. And do you ever do speaking events? Just curious. I have done several. I've been really fortunate. I've really enjoyed the times when I've gotten to do it. I'm a bit of an introvert, so it's a little bit out of my comfort zone, but it feels really natural to talk about something that I feel is really general and really relatable. And so I feel nervous going into it, and then when I kind of start going, it just feels like I'm talking to old friends about things that are going on that everybody understands. And so I really do enjoy it, and it's been a really fun time. Audrey Roloff. Oh, I really love her. She's a sweetheart, and we've talked a lot, and I did see that she shared that, and I thought how much fun it would be for her to. She's been telling me how much she's hoping to get her little redheaded baby. She's due any day now, I think, and crossing my fingers that she gets her little girl soon. So.
Go for it.
So yeah, but yeah, I saw that she really wants a little ginger baby. So, Richard, what kind of nurse are you? Nurse Power.
I was an orthopedic nurse for the most part. It was a med-surg position. Spend more time talking to Audrey. Everybody's suggesting
Oh
that we
yeah,
look up that.
she's one of the people that you just see and you kind of feel instantly how genuine they are. Some people you can kind of sense. At least for me, I kind of sense that maybe we don't have as much in common as I would like, or I don't really get much of a vibe. But then some people, you just have to see a couple pictures or read a couple of their words, and you just can feel that they just have a lot to offer. And she's seems like such a happy, real, genuine person. And yeah, they've done a lot of good. Her nurse,
Sorry,
sweetheart.
I'm watching along too.
That's okay.
To read different comments because we're on two different pages there, but I like it better, I think, when we just use the one phone. But yeah, Tech Guy says my beard is too patchy. Mine has, this far away, I don't know if you can tell, but mine has a lot of like blonde spots where sometimes it looks less full than it is, but even if it wasn't this full, I'd probably still
Hi
wear
from Oregon. We really want to go to Oregon. Are you going to enter more fitness competitions? It's not on the horizon right now.
It would
I
be
won't say
fun,
never. It was awesome inspiration.
Emily talks about it as if she has like different things she wants to spend her time on. The fitness competition, from what I've learned about it, was like a very specific niche of being healthy, and Emily likes a different kind of balance now, but that's not a no. It would be fun. I know she loves to share about it and how it made her feel and how hard she worked, and so it's not a no, but more of a potentially in the future.
My husband and I own a beard oil company. Can I send you some? I think you would probably gladly accept some beard products.
Sure.
I think you're open to trying because he's just. You were telling
Just
me
catch
that.
Sorry, can I send some for Richard? She didn't want to spruce up your beard with
Oh,
some
you didn't
beard
want
oil.
to send them for me? Dang it.
No, that'd be fun.
How are your kids liking school? So, why don't you talk about school for a second?
I like school and I liked the first day of first grade because it was really fun.
Did you do anything special that day?
I made a little crown and it said I rocked the first day of first grade.
Better view
So
there.
you're in first grade and you made some friends?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What are you working on right now? You told me you guys were doing something that you were really good at. Do you remember what it was? It's okay.
What's a favorite subject? What's your favorite class?
What do you love working on the most?
Computers.
Oh, computers. Jeez, you guys. I didn't touch a computer until I was like 10 years old. When did you do a fitness competition? I did it 4 months after I had Lydia. So that would have been in 2015? No. 14, I think. I don't remember. 14, I think, or 15.
I think it would have been
No,
14
because
if
you're
I
right,
counted
because
right,
15
but
was when Evie was born.
I think it was 14.
Yeah, it was in the spring of 2014. Sorry about that. All mixed up. Do you have a post about when you were a competitor? I updated a little bit as I was doing it. I didn't want to overload my Instagram with fitness stuff because it was kind of a separate thing. But I did post about my working out, here and there, and would kind of share progress photos and stuff. But I did have a post called our competition recap, where I shared a couple stage photos of Martin and I. We did it together. He was in men's physique and I was in bikini. So you can go back and look if you want. There's I posted a couple before and after pictures too, just of I think it was 6 weeks after I'd had Lydia, and then 10 weeks after that, I think, of where I had the program that I was on with my trainer had me slim down quite a bit before building back up muscle. That was his method, and so I got slimmer than I had wanted to be, and was like, I don't understand how this is going to work. And he's like, just trust the process. And so I ate what he told me to eat, which was tons of food, just really nutritious food. And
Yeah.
anyways, that's a whole other thing. But it was a really neat experience, and I won't say I'll never do it again, but it felt a little bit out of my realm, out of my comfort zone, and kind of like not quite my world, but it was really awesome inspiration to lose weight and be stronger. And anyways, oops. Somebody says your daughter is beautiful. Someone says she's just precious.
That's you, Soph.
She's gorgeous. When is bedtime for a first grader? Technically, it was probably a couple hours ago, but she's been really good and she wanted to stay up, and we have let her stay up, but it's kind of late. Do you want to go to bed, Soph? Because you don't want to be too tired tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to say goodnight to everybody?
Yeah, good night.
Did you
Thanks
like
for-
your hot chocolate?
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.
Night, Soph. Love you, honey.
Love you too.
Thanks for all your help. You go to bed, okay? I'll see you tomorrow morning.
Okay.
Don't forget to go to the bathroom.
Okay.
Will you tell us how you met Richard for the millionth time?
Did
Is
you-
that from somebody being sarcastic who's heard it a million times, or is that from somebody who knows that we've probably said it a million times?
Did you see the one that said that you should braid my beard for Pinterest?
Oh, no, I didn't. Oh, no. You want to go like Captain Jack Sparrow? Hey, Roxana. I'll be your fitness trainer.
I've always loved the idea of multicultural things, and I guess everybody's a little different in our families, but for the most part, things are really good.
I've been really blessed having seen a lot of people's in-laws. I feel particularly blessed to have really awesome in-laws, in both circumstances. I've seen a lot of the classic stereotypical nightmare mother-in-laws, and I have never experienced that. My mother-in-laws have been sweet, wonderful, caring, trusting, helpful women that I really look up to, and I could probably offer tips from just what I've seen and what I've heard from friends and other relatives, but probably not on the lie. But that is neat, yeah. The shelf behind us is, somebody else will probably answer that, so I'm just going to wait a second and see. Do you guys go to bed or wake up at a certain time? We definitely don't during the summertime. We're all over the place. But during the school year now, I get up at about 6:30 with the girls. We make their lunches the night before, and so I get up and they get ready, and we try to keep quiet so that their kids stay asleep. And then sometimes I'll go back to bed for a little bit, or I will start work like I did this morning. And then usually we're in bed by 1 or 2 in the morning.
That sounds about right. There's
We're
never
gonna have to
never
fix
enough
that.
time to get everything done.
The goal is to go to bed a lot earlier. Like, I would love to be in bed by like 11:30 or 12 at the latest, which is still not quite enough. If we're getting up at 6:30, that's not enough sleep. But everything's going fast.
Yeah, we gotta scroll up a little bit. Sorry guys if we missed your comment.
Yeah, it's always that hard. Her name is Sophia, but she's just Sophie for short. I don't really ever call her Sophia that much.
She likes that at school, doesn't she?
I think so.
She's told her
I
teachers
think
she
they give
likes
their
that,
full
but
names.
yeah. You got everybody telling about the shelf?
Oh, thanks, guys. Yeah. More blog posts about fitness and healthy eating, for sure. And I wanted to talk about, I've had a lot of requests to talk about juicing, which I want to
Oh, yeah.
I want to hit on. I've had a lot of people ask about, like, what are the typical things that I kind of keep in the house so that I have stuff to make nutritious food. And we do go through a lot of fresh produce and things like that. We'll go to the store, and usually we just get perishable stuff, which is good as long as you're going to eat it, which is what's great about juicing, because you can if you're not
gonna be
using
able to
those
finish it.
tomatoes, just stick them in the juicer. Yeah, if you're not going to be able to finish
Well, today's
you don't have a reason for that celery, just
store run for me was all
fresh stuff.
yeah.
We use a lot of cans and things like that too. Frozen stuff, a lot of frozen stuff. I'm sorry I don't ever say your names, but I just don't want to butcher them, so I just say, someone said. I just started my health and fitness journey, and I may admit it got your main source of inspiration, especially when it comes to some yoga time. It's really great to hear. Thank you. I've really picked up yoga this year. I've been doing it for 15 years, on and off, little bits, not really dedicated, and so this time I've tried to keep really strict with it. And
It's been fun watching you say, "Oh my gosh, I've never been able to do this," and have you do a pose or, just stand in some funny way that you're like, "I've never been able to do that." And you
It
get
is
so excited
really
about it.
fun to have a little breakthrough and realize that I'm stretching a little bit more, or yeah, to be able to do a pose I've never done. I have to laugh because oftentimes we'll be out and Richard will be taking care of some work, and I'll be like trying to do a new thing, and I'll just go crashing to the ground and and just have to kind of laugh at myself and try it again.
I still smell like gasoline.
I didn't notice.
Nope.
No.
Never mind.
Richard, what did your family think of the whole situation when you started dating? Were they supportive or nervous?
Well,
I'd probably say both.
I think nervous was like a 10 or 20%, like a small percentage
Yeah.
of it, because they watched me write letters to Emily for quite some time, so she was already known to them, and I think it would have been more nerve-wracking if I hadn't known friends who were single moms and things like that, where my parents had met people that I associated with, so I kind of knew what kind of things go into a family like this, and they had met some of those people that were really important to me and knew that I understood their situations pretty well. So
Man, text guy says he goes to the gym at 4:45 in the morning.
that's
Holy cow.
dedication.
Someone wants to know what your favorite thing is about me and what my favorite thing is about you.
We get asked that all the time, and it's always hard to pick a favorite.
That's a good answer.
Everybody knows that I like your steaks. I'm going to go with that one again. It's been a while since we had one of those. Your cooking's awesome.
I really do like your motorcycle. That's a good one.
There's a lot of favorite things. We should write a book about it.
These are a few of my... Oh, I'm going to stop singing.
Yeah, the kids do yoga with Emily sometimes.
Kelsey from Target. Hi there. You caught me on such a funny day. And it was funny because I looked over at you and kind of just subconsciously thought that you were really cute with your pretty curls and
Your little baby in the car.
yeah, little baby and anyways, I thought, man, I feel really awful today and but then we got to chat with you. It's always fun when you feel really gross in public and then you meet somebody who you know
And it's
but then your friendship is more genuine because
You've
you're
actually
not putting
seen-
on any sort of airs, I guess.
yeah,
any
that was
sort of
that was a hard
pretense.
day. I think we both had pretty good headaches, but yours was a lot worse than mine.
Oh yeah, I was like wearing sunglasses in the store because I couldn't even. My head was just throbbing. I don't know if I could say I've ever had a migraine, because I know that those are just awful. But man, that was a bad head.
That was a bad one. I think
Bad.
we were both pretty dehydrated, but you probably hadn't
That's
drank
probably
anything
what it
that day.
was. Yeah, you.
It was like 106
you
degrees
couldn't
out
even-
or something.
I don't know what was going on. We both had a couple bad headaches that week.
Yeah.
Something in the water.
Or in the not water because you weren't drinking anything.
Right. Emily, were any of your friends or family concerned about you and Martin's relationship at first because of the age gap and you being so young? Mostly, yes. Yes, they were. Mostly it was because they felt like I was throwing away my future by getting married so young, which I thought, like, how does that halt my future? Like, anything besides, like, sowing my wild oats and getting into trouble without any consequence or accountability, like... like consequence with your spouse, I guess is what I'm thinking. Like, I didn't see anything that marriage was holding me back from. I thought I can still go to college, I can still travel, I can still, pick up any skill that I want. I just was having a hard time seeing how that was halting my progression and like stunting my growth as an individual. And I know that being, going to college by your own is kind of an experience and that whole life and that life, and I don't know, I didn't feel like I was missing out. Not that it's not a wonderful thing for many, many people, but that's what was right for me, and I thought I don't need to go to college and be single, and it just worked out for me. But yeah, I did have some people that were
Concerned.
worried about me and saying, "Oh, are you sure you know what you're doing?"
Can I chime in?
Yeah, you sure can. I'm gonna keep reading.
Having known Emily as a teenager, she was really with it. I'm only a couple years older than Emily, but she was somebody who had her head on straight from an earlier age. So I think for some people they're still figuring out like who they are or what they want to do with themselves and kind of what's going on in their lives. And but I don't know that I would put Emily in that category. I still probably would have. Well, I'm biased, but since we were friends back then, I think it played out well for her and it worked out well. She was ready. The age? Oh, yeah. What's the age difference?
Between Martin and I, it was 10 years.
And we're 4 years?
4 years. Modest Goddess says, "Oh, hey, girl. I love that you got married when you felt you should. It gave you more time with Martin. So sweet." I agree. And I realized after the fact that, after he passed away, that a lot of our life choices and decisions that didn't quite make sense to us, we just knew they were right. A lot of them made sense because having kids fast and frequently was one of those things. That was not the plan. Originally, when we got married, I was going to go to school for at least a year before getting pregnant and starting our family and just stretch things out, and why rush and but we just really felt led in that choice to start having children, and then it just was an overwhelmingly clear choice to keep going, and we didn't have any of them by accident. It was planned, and it
was purposeful.
I like that.
Your family was growing and you wanted it to be that way.
Yeah, and even though, and I got judged for that a lot too, people would pity me a lot, and I was just like, well, I'm sorry you feel that way, but my life is great, and I'm really happy, and that's all that matters for me. So, and then, again, in hindsight, I see that Martin got the opportunity to be a dad for a long time, and instead of having all of the kids, not be able to remember him, the few older girls will, and that's really special because we started when we did, and so yeah, a lot of things were making more sense. Maybe if they didn't quite make sense before.
Somebody asked, you were 18 when you got married, right?
Yes. I was a fresh, new little 18-year-old.
That's a good one. I like that one.
Birth stories. I need to do that before
it's on the list.
They jumble together.
It's on the list.
Yeah. It is. I've been meaning to do that for a long time, and I've got requests for pregnancy tips and things, and generally means how dare you be so happy when I'm not.
I like your previous
like
comment
that.
too. Was there two of
What
them?
did she say? Oh no, you poor woman having beautiful babies with a man you love.
No, I
You sad
appreciate your
thing.
sarcasm there.
No, that's awesome. Yeah.
I think, I mean, I definitely
Abby
would not
Grace,
have been ready
I
then.
did like your comment.
I wouldn't have been ready that young.
Well, and I wouldn't recommend
I
it
thought
to
I
people
was.
is the thing too.
But in hindsight, like,
Yeah.
I mean, I have friends who have done a stellar job of starting a family and are tremendous spouses. And I've known a lot of friends who have children and grow up really quickly.
I do think that's an awesome,
It's a
that's
teaching
kind of like
tool
a
that
trial
heaven,
by fire or
that
something.
heaven sends you to.
Sometimes you.
But I've known a lot more parents that way than parents who have children and just still don't know what they're doing and neglect them and all that stuff. Most of the parents that I'm friends with are great people, and
Molly said, I love that you did what was right for you.
it's important for everyone.
And that seems like a simple thing, but it's not really. It's really hard to make decisions just for yourself, and so I appreciate that because it's something that I've worked really hard at doing and I've not always been successful at, and
And frequently been judged for.
yeah, oh yeah. It's and it's something that I'm really, sometimes I get really influenced by the way that I know people will feel or the way people react, and I make choices according to what other people will think or feel.
Well,
and I end up paying the consequence for a choice that I made to benefit other people that ultimately doesn't affect them at all. It's about my life, and
You very much value your relationships
Yeah.
with people, and you know that your decisions will have an effect on them. But still, at the bottom line is that you have to do what's right for you and what's gonna work to make you happiest, and be the best decision. Sometimes the best decisions are very hard because it's not what you want to do. It's not what other people want you to do, but it's important to do it for your family or some circumstance that other people may not even understand or just don't want to understand.
I was 18 when I married Martin, 19 when I had Ellie, 20 when I had Sophie, 21 when I had John, 22 when I had Lydia, and then 24 when I had Evie. Yes, we're big Harry Potter fans. Your beard has really grown. You have a Facebook friend who sells for a company and she sells a hair growth supplement. Had her picture on her post. I totally called her out and said, hey, that's the Freckle Fox. Thank you for doing that. I have frequently been alerted to the fact that a certain company with black and green colors loves to use my pictures for their hair growth supplements when I've never used those supplements. So that is a little bit frustrating to be misrepresented, and people say, oh, I didn't know you used this, and I'm like, I never have. They just decided that a long-haired person would be a good model, and that is frustrating and enlightening when you think about advertisement because
It's a legal thing too, and we don't want to get anybody in trouble, but if they're doing things that they know are illegal, then they're going to get stuck with that anyway. But
well, and it's frustrating for people to look at, we know that happens all over the place. We see a before and after shot. I've had friends do that where they're in the fitness industry and they see that their picture was stolen and used for some sort of diet supplement, and they're like, I've never used that. But you wonder how many people bought the supplement because they wanted the results that my friend had, and it's really hard to find honest advertising these days. Ailey White says, Emily, you're a beautiful writer. It's a skill I want to improve in my own life. Any advice on how to practice and improve that? Thank you, first of all. That's really sweet of you. And I think a big thing that I attribute to being able to express myself, I feel like, pretty well, is the fact that I've been doing it for so long.
practice.
I've been writing to people, and I've been writing letters since I could write, and trying to write little stories and things, and practicing for 20 years. But I think I've often used dictionaries or thesauruses to find another way when I think of a word and I'm like, that word doesn't convey what I'm trying to say, and so I'll look at my thesaurus and find the right word, and that's trained my mind to pick up those words automatically when I want to express things. Also, reading often and a lot helps really open up your vocabulary, and
Something else that I would say too
things
is
come to your mind faster.
when you are writing and when you are practicing that skill, write as if you're writing to someone, even if nobody's reading it right now.
Yeah.
Pretend like you have an audience, whether that audience is your children or other friends or whoever. They may not read it for 10 years, or never, But if you pretend you're writing to them, it changes the way that the dialogue goes, and it changes the things that you share and the content.
I wrote a blog post. I need to refresh it. I mean, share it again because I get asked often about how I started blogging and stuff like that. And there was a blog post I found again today that I recently wrote about how I got started and the kind of person that I was back then as far as writing and blogging. But one thing that I had mentioned is the fact that I started my blog and wrote for a year with it private to nobody. But it was a big difference. I felt like people were, because I was putting it out online, even though it was private, it still felt.
It was 2 clicks away from somebody reading it.
Yeah, and so there was a lot of pressure for me to hit the publish button because it was still going out there in my mind. And so I did try to perfect, the way that I worded things and the meat of the post and making sure that there was a, definite, clear direction and an ending and all that stuff. So, writing to people, even, if you start a blog and keep it private for a while, that will help you to kind of improve. Journal writing is wonderful, but that never satisfied me as far as like helping me grow as a writer. I felt like
The only time journals ever helped me is if I was directly writing to my future children.
Right.
And
yeah, with someone in mind. That's
Yeah.
the way that I blog now.
Well,
is picturing you guys.
Any
when
writer
I'm sharing
caters
stuff.
to their audience. Like any writer is thinking about the person who is reading it, and
That's a big tip from professional writers is like know your audience, who you're writing to. That's a huge part. That's true. You're so smart.
I'm giving away their secrets. They're gonna be angry at me.
Dang it. Oh, isn't God amazing in his plan? I too got married right out of high school and received a lot of backlash, disowned, etc. But 6 kids and 9 years later, happier than ever. Keep it up. That's awesome, Alexis. Good job. 6 kids in 9 years. The Avaholic, I'm reading your story about your husband. I'm reading your comment that you mentioned about your husband and how you guys got together, and that's a really unique circumstance, and you probably had your own fair share of people that were confused and maybe judgmental, but it's amazing how you just know, and nobody else can receive, nobody else can claim to know how you should live your life or claim to receive inspiration for you or what's best for you. Parents have a very unique perspective on your life and who you are as a person, but people that aren't necessarily even close friends or family or
I had a neighbor across the street who would always wonder what was going on with us, but sometimes we just didn't ever tell because we didn't want her opinion. It was this old elderly lady, and couldn't bring myself to tell her a lot of things because I always got this side glance, and it was like, well, 1940, I'm sure things were different, but
the hallefish, I think, the hayfish. Again, I hate trying to pronounce, so I just butcher everything. She says, I'm 30 and I'm getting induced in a week, my first, and I'm not ready. I've never met anyone who was. It's just important that you love your kids, whatever age you choose. That's a really great comment. And in a way, somebody said, I've asked before, people say, how do you know when you're ready to have kids? And that is a tough thing to answer, because I like what you said, I've never met anyone who was, because I've never met a new mom who's just totally cool and confident and I have to word this correctly. I think if you are a nervous first-time mom and trying so hard to make sure everything you're doing is right, I think you're doing a great job. I think if you just want really badly to be an awesome mother, no matter how good you think you're doing, loving your kids is the most important thing, and putting them first. You've already sacrificed a lot to bring them into your family, no matter how they got in there, and that's kind of all it takes. And I think as far as me knowing that I was ready, it was all I could think about, and I couldn't sleep very well, and I couldn't eat, and I felt like I was supposed to. I felt like Martin didn't want to have kids right away for some reason. I don't know why he never really said that, but I felt like because I was so young that maybe he had wanted me to do more with my life before we had kids, and so I just kind of assumed that he wanted me to do more, and so I was afraid to tell him that.
Before you talked about it.
Right, before we talked about it. And so I kept feeling like we needed to start having kids, but I was like, I don't want him to be like
Weird about it.
Yeah.
If I
So
bring that
I
up.
waited for like a good 2 or 3 weeks, and in that time I just couldn't stop thinking about it, and I had dreams about babies, and I was just like, I felt like I was like I just knew like it was just all I could think about. And so for sure, I think if you think like, is it right to have kids, and you just feel kind of like nervous and sick in your gut, I would say that's a pretty good indication that that's not the right choice for you. I really feel like we are we're led, if we make a choice, I feel like we have really good feelings if it's right. Even if you're nervous, that's not a bad feeling.
Well, and
But if you just feel like it's wrong, and you feel, you're gonna have, that's how I feel. Lots of feelings. Go ahead.
every parent is learning. So in those
Yeah.
moments when you feel like that you couldn't be more overwhelmed and you couldn't handle one more second, that's when you stop and say, yeah, I'm in school. Like I'm learning this as I go. This is the first time, and yeah.
Can you do a makeup tutorial for every day? It
You
will
should
be
do the basics.
it will be mascara and chapstick. But no, I could do like a really minimal, like my 5 minute, if we're
You should
running
do-
out.
You should do that one and then follow up with one
Uh-huh.
that's like, this is a more focused and concentrated version.
There's
and then,
one with
and then do a
all of
third
the
one that's
brushes and
bland.
all of the products and all of the, that takes 45 minutes. Or there's my 3 to 2 minute one that's just a kind of basic like this, that is if we're running out to go eat, and I want to look presentable and not like a dead, stop it. But
I didn't do it.
Emily, would you consider yourself a sensitive person, not so much in regards to rude comments or something, but more with the relationship and people you interact with? I'm afraid I can be at times. You mean like sensitive in a bad way, like overly sensitive or impressionable or reactive, I assume.
It could also be sensitive, like, do you pay attention to people and like
Well, she said
respond to
I'm
their
afraid I can be
emotions?
at times. I think she's meaning that in like a
Overly
negative way.
sensitive to,
Yeah.
to things that people say.
So yes to both. I fancy that I'm a very empathetic person, especially given recent events of my life. I feel like I can almost to a hard degree. I feel like I can identify with people's pain a lot, and so in interactions in my work and community and family, it's really easy to hear someone is going through something hard and to instantly identify with that, and that can be difficult sometimes, to kind of keep my composure or keep myself, I don't know what I'm trying to say. English is hard. I think being sensitive is very important to to interacting with people. I know some people that just aren't sensitive at all, and they're just really brazen and hard to be around because they're so offensive and stuff that they say, and they just don't really realize it. I don't know, help me out here. I think if you're afraid of being overly sensitive, that sounds kind of like anxiety to me a little bit, which is what I deal with a lot too,
I think
where I'll take a simple
Sorry, go ahead.
sentence or something and kind of run away with it and start kind of letting this like spiral happen of thoughts, and so that's hard because that's pretty self-destructive.
I think the benefit of the doubt is something that most of the time we're good with, but most of the time, or some of the time, we struggle with. Using the benefit of the doubt to say that person probably didn't mean what my brain is saying, so I'm going to stop, I'm going to rewind, and I'm going to go from there. But can I jump to 2 questions here?
Yeah, sure.
I wanted to say, Jillian, thank you for calling this inspiring. I really appreciate hearing that, because there are times in all our lives where we just feel like we don't have anything to teach anyone, but not that we're in a teaching position here, we're just sharing things, but
You feel like you don't have anything of benefit to give anybody.
I appreciate that you're getting something out of it and sharing that with us. That's nice.
So Abby says suggestions for getting past anxiety for speech class.
I have 2 things for Abby. The first one is to remember that everybody who's sitting in front of you is just another human being and you're equal. And the second thing would be preparation. Whatever you're going to be speaking on, know as much as you can about it before you get there so that you can present that and you can teach other people about it, because that's all that speeches are about. Unless you're giving like a presidential speech, I suppose that would be a different situation, but
If I can say one thing,
Yeah.
when I am scared to death of public speaking. I literally will have that mind blank moment where I'll have so many thoughts in my head, and I'm like, I'm all prepared, and then I'll get up there and I'll just like see a brick wall in my mind and not remember anything, and I get all sweaty and nervous, and but what suddenly helps me is if I stumble over a word or say the wrong thing, I'll just kind of laugh at myself and call myself out on it. And instead of trying to like, oh my gosh, did they hear that? Like, and I start getting nervous and that makes it worse. I'm just like, yep, that's not what I meant to say. Or like, oops, that was, that was my fault. Or I turned the wrong page. Or, just like letting them know what's going on in your head as you're trying to share your thoughts. And I think in being honest, oftentimes can kind of cut the tension and help you relax a little bit and help them, connect with you better. And that's helped me a lot, just being really upfront. You truly don't never know what being a parent means until you become one. At least that was my experience. Oh, for sure. You can hear all the advice in the world from all the wise old sages, but it just nothing prepares you for that experience. Giving birth was incredible and so unlike. I had watched all the videos and read all the books, and it was just life-changing and indescribable, and it was something that I wanted to like shout from the rooftops. I wanted everybody to have babies. Because I was like, you will not believe how incredibly empowering this is and how much stronger you feel and how like you just feel unstoppable and like your body just did this incredible thing. Not only did you make this human, but you pushed them out, and I felt so strong for a long time, and I wanted everybody to feel that way, and it's incredible, and you just can't express or understand how it is until you experience it. You're so right.
That's a good question. I think that might be my last before I
Yeah.
go. But
Yeah, go ahead.
Allie asks, what is my relationship with Martin? Obviously, Emily loves us both in such a dear way, but I like that question because I never got to meet Martin. I had this concept of Emily being married to him, and I knew they were having children and their life was going wonderfully for a long time. So.
How's Benjamin says Richard's looking directly at me. He
I
was.
love the
You were
sarcasm
talking to
in
him.
these comments. Yeah, I would say it's a really unique relationship because of the kind of person that I am. But I don't know, it's kind of hard in a lot of ways because I don't get to meet him, and even hearing stories and stuff from his friends when he was growing up and people who knew him all over the last 10 years and really knew who he was, even with those stories, I still have this big gap where I can't really picture the way things were, and I wish I could have known him. I don't know, if I had known him in life, that it would have been a little different, but in the position that I'm in now, I wish I could have met him. He has done amazing things for his family, and he's got some big shoes to fill, so it's really a unique position to be in where I'm trying to learn about somebody who isn't around for me to meet him. Anything else you want to add to that?
It is. I do wish a lot that they had been able to meet, just because I feel like there's a lot of things about Martin that I want to tell Richard, and it would just be easier if he knew what kind of person he was in a way. But it is really sweet that Richard can get to know Martin through the kids and I, because I think that it helps the children especially to keep Martin's memory alive in their own minds, by explaining who he was to Richard. And it's really neat for the kids to go grab an album and sit down with Richard and say, look, this is when I did this with my dad, and this is when I did this, and he always liked this. And so so that's a really neat thing that I guess it wouldn't be that way necessarily completely if you already knew Martin. It's neat, I guess. That's how I see it. Is that you get to learn, and it helps the children.
I don't often share this tidbit, but it's really hard for me to be in the position I'm in because of the fact that I haven't met him. The rest of my life is changed by this man that I never met, and he has paved the way for a totally different situation than I ever would have been in if it weren't for him, and if it weren't for everything that he was prepared to do. I would have been too scared to have many children in my 20s, and it never would have worked out the same way that it did if I mean, heaven is watching out for us and putting us in the right place, and I owe him a lot, and it's hard sometimes because I can't say thank you, and that's that's difficult for me at times. Most of the time I'm okay because I have too much to do and lots of things to occupy my mind, but in the quiet moments, that's something I think about often. And yeah.
Thanks, babe.
I need to excuse myself and go in the other room.
We can wrap up. This was really fun, and I appreciated all the comments we got to answer. And we do read a bunch. We kind of speed read, and then we just have to kind of grab ones and answer them. But you guys always say awesome things, and we always end these just feeling really lucky and
Grateful for all of you.
yeah, and I feel
rejuvenated too.
Yeah, I feel really inspired to talk about new things that you guys have asked about and to make new blog posts, and I feel really motivated to try and do better and be better for you guys, and Days to Learn By says, I think everyone's crying now.
Crud.
Good job,
I should
Richard.
stop reading these. Jillian. Okay, before we go, Jillian asked you about any advice for dating or boys in high school, and I want to say from the
Who
perspective of
was a boy
someone
in high school?
no, from the perspective of somebody who watched all my girlfriends date boys, know your value and know what you want in the boys you're dating, and don't settle for less. Boys can be
Yeah.
great if you hold them to that standard, and a lot of them are, but 10 seconds. Well,
Oh, we gotta go.
Good night, guys.
Dang it. Okay, this
Love you
was
lots.
awesome.
This is
Yeah.